Good afternoon, everyone. I, C.S. Saurabh Ajmera, Secretary of WRC, welcome you in this very important session of Social Stock Exchange. Before we begin, I request everyone, please place your hand on heart for ICI motto song.
येष सुप्तेषु जागृति येष सुप्तेषु जागृति कामं 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 कामपुरुषो पुरुषो निर्विमाणः निर्विमाणः तदेव शुक्रं तद्ब्रह्मा तद्ब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकः शतः सर्वे तदूनात्यपि कश्चन एतद्वैता 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 एतद्वैता.
So, Mike.
Welcome back. Thank you. Friends, for this session, we have faculty Amit Kumar Kedia ji with us. Welcome, sir. Friends, by tomorrow, that is the 1st July, we are entering towards the 75th year of our existence as ICI. And we have huge network, huge legacy with us. We have 168 branches, more than our 100 own buildings. We have 47, we have presence in 47 countries with 44 overseas chapter, 34 representative offices. We have almost a family of CA or CA student, almost of 12 lakh, out of which 8 lakh are CA student and 4 lakhs, nearly 4 lakh are CA members. So the legacy is used, and to celebrate this, we are planning a grand celebration at the biggest region of the ICI, that is WRC also. We are hosting flag at BKC ICI Bhavan by tomorrow 9 AM. And after that, we'll have the song function. And then in the evening, we are celebrating with a cultural night in which dance will be present by our members. Friends, today morning, at ICI, our president and vice president, sir, launched this logo that says 75 year of trust. So we are requesting to each and everyone, kindly put on your social media handle and share amongst all the stakeholders so we can create a brand value for our profession. With that, friends, we have presence of dynamic chairman of WRC, CA Arpit Kabra with us. So I request Chairman sir to welcome all of you with his address. Chairman sir, over to you.
Am I audible and visible?
Yes, Chairman sir, you are audible and visible.
Hello everyone, and good evening and warm welcome to this wonderful session today, I think, and congratulations to each one of you. Just one day away to celebrate a legacy event for all of us, the 75th foundation year for Chartered Accountants. I think it's with immense pride that I, the secretary, the speaker here today, Amit ji, Kedia, and all of us, proudly adorn this CA label with us. And we celebrate this wonderful feeling of being one of the partners in nation building, and also a legacy which cannot be matched by any other profession in this country. They are as old as the country. So congratulations to all of you, everyone as a chartered accountant, wishing you all a wonderful, wonderful 75th Foundation Day, the 75th CA Day. It's a fantastic feeling for all of us. And while we are having a session today, this session is also significant in terms of as we move towards the 75th year as a legacy year. The topic for this session is never heard before, is never discussed before. Social audits, something that we are all excited about, something that has just been launched, a new thing that has just been which was just on cards by one of the regulator called SEBI, and ICI has taken it as a task to launch it in a full-fledged manner, to create the entire ecosystem, to flag off this social audits as one of the mainstream opportunities for all chartered accountants. So I think today, thank you, Amitji, for accepting our invitation and being here with us to talk about this very, very unique and a very new kind of topic. Not much awareness has been created about this, but I'm sure with your deliberation today, there will be a lot that we'll share with our audiences over here. I think Saurabh has rightly mentioned about all the events that we're going to do tomorrow. As a unique celebration tomorrow, we'll be honoring all our presidents. The year in which we've got presidency from Western region, we'll be celebrating those years in Mile Sur Mera Tumhara, a melodic sunrise in the morning, and afternoons. At the evening, we are having a cultural rhythm program at Thakur Auditorium, Kandivali. So I would request all of you to please join us in large numbers and let us all celebrate the wonderful event, the ICI at 75. Apart from this, there are various initiatives that we have launched at WIRC. Mishraji, if you could quickly put up that slide. Niryat series is one of them, Startup Lab. Apart from that, Gurukul at WIRC. This is one of the most important initiatives that I would like all of you to please pay attention on, because we want to invite we want to be the training partners for all members in industry and business. In whatever way, if you know anyone who is in industry and they are looking for some kind of a training session, you can please reach out to us and let us know any requirement so that we could set up your training session for our members who are in industry and business. The Nest Cafe and Friday Fundas are really offbeat topics. They are more for to talk about something called as posh compliance, something called as evidence act, and everything and all around not mainstream topics, but yes, everything that could help us either in litigation or in any other compliance opportunities. So with these, really thankful to each one of you. Uh, Keep looking at our newsletters. They are buzzing with a lot of networking. A networking zone is what we've launched. I would be glad to share with you that we have, in real sense, created a lot of networking for people who have who wanted to have partners, who wanted to have firms, who wanted to be join a network, and reach out for any assistance in terms of any sector or in any space that they are looking into. And I'm sure if any of you are one of those who need any of these help or networks, you can write to us at wirc@ici.in, and we'll feature you in our networking zone as well. With these words, thank you very much. Saurabh, over to you.
Thank you, Chairman Sir, for informing all the initiatives of WIRC and very importantly, letting us know about the tomorrow event. Friends, we at WIRC are highly committed to empower all our members through various initiatives, and we are lucky to have this year very dynamic and innovative chairman with us. We believe in innovation and we are doing the same at each and every task in WIRC. With this, now I like to introduce the faculty of this program, Mr. Amit Kumar Kedia. He is a practicing chartered accountant, senior partner of Gopal Sharma and Company. Through his more than 15 years of career, he has become recognized for his contribution and expertise as a knowledgeable professional advisor and consultant in the field of RERA, litigation, arbitration, SEBI, social stock exchange, MSME, and startup listing advisories, and many more. He is a social auditor with Institute of Social Auditor of India, that is ISAI. He has been speaking on various platforms for various topics with regards to professional knowledge and sharing and having in-depth knowledge about his subject. He is also a member of various associations and he has completed various certificates of the ICI like Forensic Audit, FAFD, ADR, Arbitration, Mediation and Conciliations, and many more. With this short introduction, let's welcome our speaker of the session, CA Amit Kumar Kedia ji. Sir, thank you, sir, for joining over here. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Arpit Kavra ji, Chairman WIRC of ICI, Secretary Saurabh Ajmera ji, and the entire team of WIRC. Uh, it is undoubtedly emblem that whichever region is working, WIRC comes with most innovative ideas and thoughts for the learnings of our member, and so do this topic. I think WIRC is the one who have started this session. This is, I think, so the first WIRC who have taken this session, the initiative where like this social stock exchange, where have been taken as a topic. So once again, I thanks all the members and who have joined it for the as a participant and the team of WIRC. Friends, this topic is very need of the hour and very important. So in next 2 hours, I would try to tell about what this concept, this social stock exchange is all about. What are the professional opportunities? What are the compliances which would be done and needed for this particular concept? So I have summarized it in uh, in a simple manner, wherein we would be understanding like the concept of social enterprises, where and how it got incepted in our country, what this concept is followed and how it's been done with across the world. So it's not a new concept which our country, India, have brought in place, but it's like an existing concept. So we're going to understand that. And in our country, how this concept have been created and how it got evolved. We would be understanding that, along with what are the eligibilities, who would be the eligible social enterprises over it, and then the activities which are being covered herein, bit about some definitions and the provisions which are applicable. And for this social stock exchange, a separate governing council have been appointed. So we'll be understanding that. So after understanding about the concept, we would be going forward to understand the fundraising by these NPOs. What are the mode by which these NPOs and the FPs can raise the fund? Their registration criteria, how the instrument, there is an instrument which have been uh, incorporated in our country in a form of a ZCZP, that is a zero coupon, zero principal. We would be understanding more about that, and how this concept have evolved. What are the ICDRs saying about this concept? Then moving forward, we would be understanding about the reporting, how the reporting would be done for the fundraising which have been done. In that, we would be understanding about the governing aspect, the annual disclosures. This is again a very big and an important professional opportunity in a similar manner in which a listed company need to do its quarterly and the annual compliances. In a similar fashion, this compliances would be done, and what are the disclosures which should be required. Then about the reporting area, the annual impact report. This is absolutely a new concept which have came in place, the annual impact report. And then about what about the social audit, for which we would be understanding what are the
Sir, we lost you in last 2-3 minutes.
Regret,
Huh?
there was some.
सर चल रहा है सर सौरभ सर चल रहा है sir.
Sorry, sorry, so regret for the inconvenience. There was some connectivity issue. I just can you please कोई मेरे को बता पाएंगे मैं कहाँ तक अपने था connectivity कहाँ lose हुई अगर चलिए
Sir, only last 1 minute.
2
we have
minutes.
lost you.
Last
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Yes.
okay, thank you very much. So now my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes,
I
perfect, sir.
Thank you. So here where the inception of the concept happened, wherein our finance minister, Honorable Nirmala Sitharaman ji, in her union budget 1920, she came up saying that it's a time to take our capital market closer to masses and meet various social welfare objectives, inclusive growth and financial inclusion. The minister further stated that I propose to initiate steps towards creating an electronic fundraising platform, a social stock exchange under the regulatory ambit of Security Exchange of India, that's SEBI, for listing social enterprises and voluntary organization working for realization of social welfare objective so that they can raise capital as equity debt or as unit like a mutual fund. So there where this concept was initiated, but because of COVID and stuff, it got little derailed, but now everything is there well in place. So where this all happening, what all is happening across the world, it's like there are already exchanges, social stock exchange in Canada, Jamaica, UK, Portugal, Brazil, South Africa, Singapore. So for India, it's yes, not a new concept. It's a global known, global recognized concept. But in various part of the world, it has been taken variously, wherein somewhere it's just a database system, somewhere it's a matchmaking system, and somewhere it's only for the profit organization. What good India have done is, India had came up by understanding all these concepts, all the strengths and weaknesses, what has been adopted worldwide. Now India have came up with an hybrid model wherein the NGOs are also there, the FPOs are also there, that is a for-profit making organization which are doing a social activity. They all are there, and the concept have been designed in in that manner. Now, what was the reason why these exchanges was available? The reason for most of our country was that there was a transparency which was required. How and the availability of the funding to the social enterprises, people have more or less have lost their faith in these social enterprises. So there is a long big social capital which is awaited, which is there to be invested. Many people are willing to invest, willing to donate money, but they don't get a visibility. Maybe because of the trust factor, maybe because of the connectivity issue to the particular NGO, maybe because of the transparency. So all these factors have been taken care, and as these factors have been taken care, they are being created a professional opportunity where we as professionals need to compile and present all these data to the respective NGO or the social stock exchange or to the public at large who are doing donations. This is a small journey where we stand today, wherein the journey started, I told previously, by the budget speech. Then there was a working group which got constituted, and the working group had given their reports. Then later on 15/7/2022, ZCZP as an instrument, as security, had been declared by the finance ministry. Then the ICDR and LODR got came, they got published, and there was a framework circular which came from the SEBI, and the governing council of the stock exchange, the social stock exchange, got in, uh, got there. There was a principal approval which came to both the exchanges at a later time, to the Bombay Stock Exchange and to the National Stock Exchange. And today, as we are talking, there are some registrations which have been done by the National Stock Exchange and some by the Bombay Stock Exchange. So till date, the registration have been done, and now many of these social enterprises are looking forward to come up with their issues of ZC, ZP. So now we understand what are the eligibilities. The eligibilities come from the institution in which the enterprise is being created. So for the NPOs, that is not profit organization, the charitable trust which are being registered under Indian Charitable Act 1882, they are eligible. For the charitable trust which are registered under their respective states are also eligible. Societies, charitable societies which are registered under Society Registration Act 1860, they are eligible. And the company which are incorporated as Section 8 company, previously before 2013 amendment, it was Section 25 company. So these companies are eligible. And if any of the respective entity, if the board may specify, then that would be eligible. Friends, this eligibility, we would be going very slow because it is very important. It is just the entity which we are understanding, that which entity is eligible. Later on, some financial eligibilities, some eligibilities in terms of volume would also be coming. What eligibility we would be talking right now is just the formation of the entity which is eligible. So the social enterprises are divided in two parts. That is an enterprise which is working for non-profit organization. That would be NPO. There are four set of registrations which, if any of them is being done, they would be falling in NPO category. Now, friends, we understand what is for-profit social enterprises. For-profit social enterprises is a a company or a body corporate operating for profit, which is a social enterprise. We would be understanding in the definitions about the social enterprise in detail. But an enterprise which is doing, whose sole motive is not to earn profit. That is, if they are having a little motive of earning profit, but doing a work of social enterprise, then they would be falling in this category for social enterprise. And these companies will not include Section 8 companies. Friends, Section 8 companies we have already covered in NPO, that is for not-profit organization. So these companies, that is the Section 8 companies, would not be eligible. Then further, some companies are being barred. Some of these social enterprises have been barred from not raising the funds from the social stock exchange. What are these? These are if the social enterprises promoters or the promoter group or the directors or the shareholders or the trustees are barred from accessing the security market, then in that case, these social enterprises would also will not be eligible. If the promoters or the directors, trustees of the social enterprises is a promoter or a director in other company or a social enterprise which have been debarred from accessing the security market by the board, then these will also not be eligible to come and do issuance of any type on the platforms. Any of the social enterprises whose promoters or directors had willfully defaulted in fraudulent borrowers and is a fraudulent borrower, then in that case also they are not been eligible. If they have done, that is the promoters, directors or trustees been done any economic offense, then they would not be eligible for the particular or debarred in carrying out activities of fundraising, then they would not be eligible. So these are the some of the uh, reasons why maybe platform. Now, what is important? The most important thing is a social intent. The social intent should be there for raising this social capital. In the ICDR, it have been defined what are the social intents, and these social intents are very important to know by each one of us. So what are the social intents? That is, if the enterprise, social enterprises is working in eradicating hunger, poverty, malnutrition, working in promoting of healthcare, that is including mental health care, availability of safe drinking, then they are eligible. Promoting of promoting of gender equality, women empowerment, and for protecting national heritage, art or culture, training to promote rural sports, national recognizes sports, Paralympic sports, Olympic sports, support of innovator of social enterprises, support other platforms.
Amitji, I think Sir has lost connection. Let's wait for a few minutes. Meantime, participants, if you have any query, you can post it in the question and answer section. Participants are requested to wait for some time. Speaker Amitji will be joining shortly.
So these are the 16 activities which we need to, in addition to the eligibility, we need to check is the enterprise is working for any one of them. Then the slum area, affordable building sustainability, disaster management, including relief, rehabilitation, promoting financial inclusions, facilitating access to land and property access for disadvantageous communities, bringing and access to promoting welfare, and if any of the activities which the board may suggest. So prima facie, we need to understand the registration. Once we check that the registration are being done, the eligibility as per registration is done, then second check would be, would that social enterprises would be following in any one of the eligible criteria. So after these two checks, then the third check would going to come of the 67% of the activity. That is the particular social enterprises which looks forward for getting themselves registered at the social stock exchange need to have done 67% of the activity in those 16 areas in last average 3 years. That is in terms of revenue, or in terms of expenditure, or in terms of customer size. So any of these three, if they have achieved 67%, then they would be eligible. So first is the enterprise registration. Second is the one of the 16 activities. And third, that is the 67% work they have done in that particular activity. So 67% is not for a particular activity, as there are 16 activities which are there. if a combination of, to an extent, 16 activities sum up to 67%, then also they would be eligible. Now we have to understand who are not eligible, the enterprises which are not eligible. This is little interesting also. The corporate foundation. So, for example, the corporate foundation of Reliance or any of the corporate which have their internal NGO, or they are funding any NGO which is more than 50% of their total funding. That would tantamount to be a corporate foundation. So these corporate, so friends, these corporate foundation may be a society. They might be doing activity, any one of the 16 activities which we have understood. They are doing more than 67%. Then in all these cases also, they would not be eligible as a social enterprises for this particular segment. Then moving forward, the political or religious organization activities. So if any activity is done for a particular religion, or they have a underlining of religious reasons, then those enterprises would not be eligible. For example, any foundation, any of the social enterprise is working to make a temple, or is working to make any religious place, and they're absolutely working towards that, they are, then these type of organization would not be eligible. Professional or trade association, we might have came across many of the trade association, local trade association, state trade association, national trade association, who are doing work for the welfare of their members. They are doing work for maybe educating of their members. They are doing work for the employees of the trade association members. But these type of trade associations would again will not be eligible. Any of the infrastructure and housing companies, again these infrastructure and housing companies will not be eligible. They might be doing work for the public at large, for the welfare of public, but again they would not be eligible. Only exception to these infrastructure is and housing companies are the affordable housing. That is, if any of these infrastructure housing companies are working for the affordable housing, in that case they would be eligible in raising funds and coming up to the platform. Then moving forward, we'll just go through these some important definition quickly. That is the draft fundraising document. This is a draft document. If you have heard, uh, whenever a company comes for their IPO, they come up with a draft prospectus. So in a similar manner, whenever a ZCZP by an NPO which is registered at SSE would be coming, they would be coming up with a draft of their fundraising document. This would be termed as a draft fundraising document. Then this draft fundraising document would be in the public domain, where if any of the comment of the public is there, which will be incorporated in this draft fundraising document, then this draft fundraising document becomes the final fundraising document. Friends, I am just halting for a minute. There is some network issue which I am just fixing up. So just allow me a minute, please.
Oh,
Thank you.
no problem.
Uh, Thank you all for your patience. Uh, yeah, so we were there at some important definitions. So we have understood the draft fundraising document and the final fundraising document. And the fundraising document is one which is the final fundraising document. Then, as we might have understood what is a social stock exchange, but just for the benefit, as per SEBI platform, which has been given a national-wide terminals to trade on the securities, any of the exchange which is having a national-wide terminal for trading can apply for the separate segment in their stock exchange, and that segment would be termed in a category of a social stock exchange. So as of now in our country, Bombay Stock Exchange and National Stock Exchange have been given a recognition of social stock exchange, and as discussed previously, both the exchanges have started their registration and done uh, in registration in double digits. Then this is a very important definition, that is a social auditor. I will love to read it. Means an individual registered with self-regulatory organization by ICAI or any such other agency as may be specified by the board, who has qualified a certification program conducted by National Institute of Security Market and hold a valid certificate. So friends, I just give a brief and the background of this whole concept, wherein we as chartered accountants or company secretaries or cost accountants and graduates have been given eligibility, wherein various year of experience, if they have crossed, then they can apply to National Institute of Security Market as for the examination. And after passing that examination, then there are three SROs as on date, SRO of Institute of Chartered Accountants, Company Secretary, and Cost Accountants. Then they can apply their membership to those respective SROs. So, as on date, all these SROs, all three SROs, are have given membership to almost in three digits or more than three digits, wherein the Institute of Chartered Accountant have just seen yesterday have crossed almost 200 plus memberships to their have given 200 plus memberships to their members. Then the concept of social audit firm, it's like the social auditor who have a social track record, social auditors track record of minimum 3 years in conducting social impact assessment. That would be recognized as a social audit firm. And a social enterprises is one which is either a not profit organization or for profit social enterprise that meets the eligibility criteria as specified in the chapter we have understood previously. The provisions of this chapter, that is 292B of ICDR, that would be applicable to the NPOs which are seeking registration at SSE. So there are three criteria basically. One is the registration, which we might have understood till now. Then the second is one who get registered and they are willing to raise funds. That is the second criteria. And the third criteria is the FPs who are seeking to raise funds. Those FPs which have been identified as in social enterprises would be raising the funds at their respective platforms. That is, they might be the main board, they might be the SME platform, they might be the innovators platform, but they need to do and check the provisions of SSE given in 292B. So, just to repeat once again, if I am a social enterprise, I am looking forward for just mere registration, then in that case, these provisions would be applicable to me. If I am seeking registration and looking forward to raise funds, then again, these provisions would be applicable. And thirdly, if I am a FP, that is a for-profit enterprises, my fundraising would be on the respective board. But then also the regulations, the provisions of 292B of ICDR would be applicable to me. Friends, on 13/10/2022, the Governing Council have been constituted, and now the Governing Council is very well in effect and is working for the stock exchanges of social stock exchange. So this was a brief concept of what the social enterprise and the social stock exchange and the journey about this whole concept is all about. Now, friends, after seeing the eligibility, after understanding the concept, we move forward to second step, that is the fundraising by these social enterprise. So these social enterprise, there are two modes of raising funds. That is, as we have categorized the social enterprises in two forms, that is not for profit organization and for profit social enterprise. In a similar fashion, the fundraising would also be divided in two fashions. So we understand the fundraising by not profit organization. As discussed previously, fundraising of non-profit organization would be conducted through ZCZP, that is zero coupon, zero principal instrument, and the donations through mutual fund schemes or any other as the board may specify. If I tell you more about the ZCZP, it is once a subscription, we would be understanding how the subscription and the eligibility and the thresholds of subscription. But once somebody do a subscription to ZCZP, that ZCZP, the responsibility of the one who is taking, one who is issuing the ZCZP and one who is taking the fund is that they need not to pay the principal amount, nor they need to pay any return on that instrument. So indirectly, it is in a form of a donation only, but it would be termed as ZCZP instrument. You might have heard there is like HDFC, which is running a cancer mutual fund, wherein it happens that a money have been collected in form of a mutual fund and HDFC invest in cancer hospitals. This investment of mutual fund is again in a form of a donation. That means the one who is subscribing the units of the HDFC cancer fund is more or less like a donation, and those donation combined together, HDFC again do donation uh, activities for the cancer patients and the cancer hospitals. Now, we understand about the for-profit social enterprises. These enterprises would be more or less similar to one which are existing on the main board, on the SME or the innovators platform, but they have a social intent. We have understood those 16 intents. So one of the intent or more than one of their intents, these enterprises are having. That is the reason they have been recognized as for-profit social enterprises. Apart from that, any of the AIFs, equity AIFs, the funding raising could be done. For example, the category one social impact funds, those could be one of the instruments through which fundraising could be done. Issuance of debt securities. These for-profit social enterprise can issue debt securities. Now, what is important in this is for these for-profit enterprise, if they select to get themselves listed at the main board or the SME or the innovators platform, then in that cases, both the platforms compliances need to be done by these for-profit social enterprise. That is for the respective board in which they have been listed and by the SSE regulations. Both need to be followed by these for-profit enterprises. The reporting would be done accordingly. Now, friends, we understand the broad parameters for these NPOs, wherein there need to be a registration of an NPO, then the relevant RC, that is the registration certificate, should be valid for at least 12 months. Then the charitable trust which are being registered, or the societies or the Section 8 companies, they need to be particularly in that format. Then the ownership and control would be seen from the MOA or the AOA, and then if there any exemptions are there, like 12A, 12AA, 12AB, then they need to be valid for another 12 months. Registration with income tax as an NPO, the PAN card would be one document which would be required. The age of the NPO should be minimum of 3 years. Friends, if you remember, in the 67% criteria which we have understood and seen, wherein we had required to take care that the social intent activity out of the 16, 67% should be average of last 3 years. So there where we can correlate this factor also, that for the age of the NPO, it should be at least 3 years. If the age of the NPO is less than 3 years, then automatically it would not be eligible. Then additional factors like reductions under 80G, that would going to give more confidence to the investor. But friends, here we need to understand one thing, that in this ZCZP, if any of the donor is investing, they are not eligible for the 80G deduction. So if I reframe and retell, then if I do a subscription of a ZCZP, then in that case, I will not be eligible for 80G deduction as on date. And to the best of our knowledge, the intent of the government is that we are not dependent on the ATG donation. There is a big social capital which is untapped, which is not being recognized. So government is looking forward to see that social capital come in the mainstream. So ATG deductions will not be important. Friends, this is a very important slide. This is the last eligibility and the most important eligibility for whatever we have understood and we have seen previously. So why I am telling you that it is most important is we might have got registered in the respective society, trust, or Section 8 company. We might be following in the intent 16 intent activities. We might be having an age of 3 years. We might be doing more than 67% of the work in that particular intent. But yes, but if we are not doing our annual spending in the last financial year, which we have got from our auditors, which is minimum 50 lakhs, then in that case, we will not be eligible. This is very important and very crucial to know and understand that in case we have not done our annual spending in the last financial year, which is 50 lakhs, then we will not be eligible. And the second criteria, these both criteria need to be met. It would not be that any one of them is met, then also we would be eligible. It would not going to go like that. So if the funding of the last year, that is the audited fund accounts, should be minimum of 10 lakh rupees. So both these criteria need to be fulfilled. Then only all the earlier activity, all the earlier eligibilities which we have seen would be good. Else, or if we are eligible for our earlier activities but are not falling in this eligibility, then all the previous eligibility would going to go in vain. I assume you might have understood this slide because it is a very important slide. So in case you feel like, you can take a click on it, and like if any confusion is there, we can put it at the time of our question answer session. Now, what are the disclosures which would be required to be done? The disclosures for the ZCZP document which we are issuing, these disclosures need to be put in place. That is the vision, the target segment, the strategies which we are adopting, the governance, the management, the operations, the finance, the compliances, the credibility, the social impact, and the risk. Friends, this document would be almost similar to what we have seen in the IPOs, wherein we get to understand and we get to know about an organization from its inception. That is where it got incorporated, how it worked till date, and moving forward, what is its importance, what are their visions, and how they would be working moving forward. These all details in this document. So the vision tells about the organization activity, the programs which they have done, The target segment would going to tell about what are the target segment, how the organization is thinking, what are the people to whom they would be serving, what are the activities they would be doing. Then in the strategies, the how their vision, how they would be formulating, how they would be incorporating, that all would be put in place. Then about the governance, the governing body, what is the composition, what are the board meetings, detailed ones need to be put in place for the management, what are the programs, what are the funding, what are the marketing, communication, who are the HRs, who are the organization who are handling that need to be put in place in all detailed form. Then about the operations, where like the organization is having their virtual presence, where they are having their physical presence, how these operations and where these operations are being carried in respect of the finance. As in IPOs we give last 3 years financial result, all the audited one. In a similar manner, the last financial statement we need to put in place in this document. Then what compliances have been done, what are the credibilities, all we have understood previously about the certifications of the trust, MOA, AOA, about the PAN, 12, AA, if any of the FCRA certificate, any of the remuneration to the governing council, then that need to be put. And the most important, about the social impact, uh, all the details of the past social impacts which we have done would be put in place, wherein they, the one who is investing, or you may say the donating, or one who is coming and getting their uh, ZCZP subscribe, they would be understanding what previously the social enterprise have done with, and what are the risks which are being covered. In the similar manner, when a company raises funds, then they need to showcase their risks. What are the risks? In the similar manner, if I, as an individual or as an enterprise, is donating to the social enterprise, then what are the risks which can be there in my donation to these social enterprises? Now we understand the NPO which raise funds through the ZCZP. The issuance of ZCZP is covered under 292L of ICDR, and only NPOs which are registered on SSE shall have a specific tenure of this ZCZP. And as previously discussed, these coupons would be having no principal payable on maturity. NPO would going to file a draft fundraising document as we have discussed. Then for 21 days, this draft fundraising document would be there that need to be done 21 days before. And if any of the observations are there, then these observations need to be incorporated, and then it becomes a final fundraising document. This is all after this fundraising document is there, we need to cover some of the conditions which we understand in detail. As of now, retail investor have not been allowed. That is, if anyone likes to subscribe less than 2 lakh rupees, then in that case, they would not be eligible. Anyone who look forward to subscribe ZCZP more than of a value of 2 lakhs would only be eligible as of now. That is, only the institutional and the non-institutional investors as defined in 292C of ICDR are eligible. Then these ZCZP would only be in demat form. So in the similar manner as once we do a subscription of shares, the equity shares come in a dematerialized form. In a similar manner, this ZCZP would be coming with in a demat form only. Then a minimum issue size of 1 crore. That is, these issue would be not on the enterprises level. This issue would be on the project level. So, for example, if I look forward to go and do an issue of ZCZP, so I need to identify a project for which I am taking a donation. Then that specific project I need to place in front of the public at large, who would, after seeing what we have seen and understood, after seeing our previous track records, would going to come and do a subscription to us. So the size of this issue would not be less than 1 crore rupees. So it's a minimum 1 crore which we need to come and do a ZCZP issuance. Then the minimum subscription of 2 lakhs as the retail investor definition as per SEBI is, if any of the investment is done below 2 lakhs, then it is a retail category, and above 2 lakhs, then it's a non-institutional subscription. So because of this 2 lakhs limit, the retail investor as of now are not being allowed. Then the minimum subscription should be 75%. Yes. For example, we are coming with an issue size of say 1 crore rupees. Then in that case, at least 75 lakhs subscription need to be there. In case the subscription is less than 75%, that is, the subscription only came for 74 lakhs. Then in that case, the issuer would have to withdraw this issue from the market. In case the subscription is between 75 to 100%, then in the draft document only, they need to provide a clarification wherein they need to tell what happens if the criteria is between 75 to 100%, how this balance capital would be managed, how the arrangement of this would be done, what would be and in the which manner it would going to impact the project in case we are not able to arrange the remaining fund between 75 to 100%. And lastly, we need to also give a clarification that in case the subscription remains less than 75%, so how we would going to refund in that case. So friends, this is again a very important slide wherein whenever things get started at any given point of time, it need to end. In the case of shares, it does not happen till the winding of company does not happen. But in ZCZP, as I have told you previously, it is a project-based instrument, project-based issuance. So the termination would be more or less dependent on this only. That is, if the objective for which this ZCZP is issued is being completed. That is, the project for which this ZCZP was issued had been completed. It is concluded. Then in that case, this ZCZP would be terminated. The second reason of the termination could be the lapse of the period. Maybe we have came up with a project of 5 years, 10 years, and that period have lapsed. The objective for which this ZCZP have been issued is been completed. In that case, the termination of this ZCZP would happen. So to summarize, for the project for which we have raised, either that project have completed premature, or the reason for which this project was running got completed. In either of this case, whichever happens earlier, the ZCZP would terminate. So now, friends, we have completed and covered two areas of ours. One, the eligibility, understanding of the eligibility, and second, the issuance. How the issuance would be done, what are the eligibility of the issuance, what are the instrument of the issuance, and how and what are the manners in which these instruments would be carried. After issuance, now we move to the third leg of our presentation, that is the reporting requirements. What are the reporting requirements? So the LOD picture and 91C of the LODR specifically tell that what need to be done in 60 days from the end of the financial year. There are basically three aspects of the disclosures for an NPO. One is the general aspects, the second one is the governing aspect, and the third one is the financial aspect. So friends, as we have discussed previously, these disclosures need to be done by a professional. And here where the important aspect and important role of we as a professional comes in our national building, wherein by these professional services, we can strengthen out, we can encourage, we can give a transparency, we can give a confidence to the social capital which is there, which is lying to be brought in to the mainstream of our social enterprises. In the general aspect, we need to put and disclose the legal and the popular name, the location of HO operations, the vision, mission, purpose. Friends, these are again more or less somewhat a repetition of one which we have disclosed in our offer document. The only difference is the offer document was the past of the organization, and now which we are disclosing is one which is post issuance of ZCZP. That is a futuristic one which happened after the issuance of ZCZP. Then the organization goal, the activities, the product, the services, we need to put in place all the detailing. We have put the same at the time of our issuance. Now we have to reconcile the one we have given at the time of issuance, and the reconciliation would be done in this manner. The type and number of beneficiaries reached directly, indirectly, scales of operation, including employees and voluntarily strength, list of top 5 donors or investors, budget-wise, list of 5 programs budget-wise. In the governing aspect, the ownership and the legal form, the governing structure, the governing body details, exclusive details with their responsibilities, and the meeting details. These all need to be put in place. Then the related party transaction, the remuneration policy, the compliance management process, about the registration certificate, if anything have been updated during this period, that need to be put in place and updated to the respective. In the financial aspect, the balance sheet, the income statement and the cash statement need to be put in place, along with the program wise funding utilization certificate and auditor's report and auditor's detail. That all, whatever we were doing previously at the time of the audits, the similar is to be put in place. But now the responsibility was previously was high. Now it has increased many folds, because maybe previously there were some little donors, but now the donors have increased little bit. So with this, the responsibility also increases manyfold to present these documents to the public at large. For the annual reporting, that need to be done by the social uh, enterprise in the AIR to the social stock exchange in 90 days from the end of the year. It is again governed by the LODR section 91E of the LODR. It is governed through that. Then about the NPO which have been registered project-wise fundraising, they all need to be disclosed and put in the place. Then this is a very important feature, that is the impact scorecard, wherein whatever we might have seen that there is a credit rating which has been done for the listed entities. In the similar manner, this impact scorecard would going to run, wherein the period for which it has been reported need to be told, what are the benefits which have been taken, what are the feedback mechanism which have been adopted. These all need to be put in place in this impact scorecard. Then the statement of utilization of fund, that is according to the 91F of the LODR, wherein all the listed NPO shall submit that statement of utilization within 45 days of the end of each quarter. Again, see friends, the quarterly reporting arised. Every quarter we need to report, we need to tell all our donors that what are the category-wise amount of money which have been raised. What are the category-wise amount which have been utilized? Amount which have been raised, we have to tell category-wise. The amount which have been utilized, we have to tell category-wise. And what are the remaining amount? Again, the remaining amount which is not utilized. Money raised, money utilized, the balance remaining amount which have not been utilized, and finally we have to report that this unutilized amount is being kept in a separate bank account. So this was all about the reporting. Now we are there on our last but not the least, about the social audit. What is all about the social audit? In summary, whatever we have done in our past three sessions, that is our eligibility, our issuance, and the reporting. This all would be now merged in a form of a social audit. And this is very important. This scope of this framework of the social audit applies to the social impact assessment of the project or the program of the social enterprise. And it would be conducted by a social auditor using the principle given in the SAS. The Institute of Chartered Accountant have came with their SAS. The Institute of Company Secretary have just recently, in last week, have came with the SAS. The most important thing which we need to understand, and I have tried to highlight it by marking it in red, is any other engagements conducted by a social auditor or other auditor of an organization will not be under the scope of this framework. This is the most important thing which we need to understand. What this framework is talking is all about the impact assessment and reporting of this impact assessment, which need to be conducted by a social auditor. So any other activity, if it is being carried, or services which are being carried for a social enterprise, then in that case, the professional need not to be a social auditor. This is the most tricky and important thing which we professional need to understand. And for doing this social impact assessment and the program of social enterprise, we need to be a social auditor. No professional without us having a certification of a social auditor can conduct this social audit responsibility. A social audit, what is the scope? It is an audit of an independent which have a objective of the impact of the project, the programs, the project based activity which have been carried on by the social enterprise governed by the self regulatory organization, that is an SRO, or any other regulatory authority. So as told to you previously, friends, this social audit responsibility would only be carried by one who is registered with the self-regulatory organization. So as we have understood, there were 16 activities. So are the 16 SAS which are there. Institute of Chartered Accountants, Institute of Company Secretary have came up with these SAS. These SAS are again in line with the activity, those social activity which are being there. SAS 100 is for the hunger, poverty, malnutrition. This is in itself is a absolutely detailed topic wherein every SAS may be taken for at least half an hour to 25 minutes. So in totality, these SAS, to understand these 16 SAS, we might be requiring a session of 6 to 7 hours, which would be telling us about these detailed SAS, how the social audit would be conducted and how it would be formulated. Then SAS 200 is about like the uh, healthcare, promoting healthcare, sanitation. SAS 300 is the employability, livelihood. 400 is about the gender equality, about the community. 500 about the environmental sustainability. 600 about the national heritage, art, culture. 700 about the training, rural sports, national recognized sports, and similar, we have all 16 uh, SAS. They are all in sync with the activities which we have understood previously. Now, we come up to the social audit report format. So, for a specific activity, there have been standards which have been formulated, and as per these standards, the reporting would be done, and what all would be required in this reporting is a executive summary and the notice to the reader, which is important aspect in the section wise. If we divide, then about the background of the engagement, about the project, the responsibility of the reporting entity, the social auditor, the framework, then what are the scope of the engagement, what are the objective of the social audit, the approach we have followed, what is the methodology which have been followed, then about the basic approach, uh, the steps which have been followed. This all would be reported, but it would be reported as per the SAS. So we need to look for the specific activity. For example, we are doing an audit for a social enterprise which is doing an activity of education. So for that social enterprise, we first need to go to the SAS. We need to understand in detail, and in that similar fashion, this reporting would be conducted and carried on. Then the basic approach, what we have followed, uh, the what are the methodology which we have taken in the data collection, that is the primary source or the secondary source, what are the tools which we have used, uh, what were the limitations, for example, were there at the time we were doing this study. Then what are the key findings we had came across, what are the gaps, what are the challenges, what could be our, as an auditor, recommendation towards it, any of like the case study or any of the stakeholders who have given their opinion, or uh, who had uh, who had spoken to us, that could be brought into picture, or any other relevant document which is there. So there are some set FAQs. So I will request the committee team member to allow me either to take live questions in the FAQs in the question answers box, or I go for the set question answers. So if you can allow me or guide me like how the question answers session need to be carried.
Yes, sir, we have received a few questions from the participants.
So I think that would be great. We take those questions then.
Okay.
So, somebody would be reading for me, taking the questions, or I need to see and then answer. How we need to formulate it?
So we could read it for you.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
There is a question from Asim Bhattacharya. How many social enterprises are now listed in stock exchange?
Now, Bhattacharya, on NST, there are 16 odd registrations of NPOs happened, and on BSC, it's 14. This data is of day before yesterday. Yes.
Okay. And the next question is from Nilash Rai. Is there any entity specified by the board for eligibility criteria?
Sorry, ma'am, you need to come again with a question. I didn't follow it. Sorry.
Is there any entity specified by the board for the eligibility criteria?
So for the eligibility, we have in detail discussed that there are like the trust society and Section 8 company for the NPOs, and a body corporate or a company uh, in FP, that's for profit organization. And then later on, we have discussed in detail the eligibility. There are 6-7 thresholds which we need to look forward for the eligibility, and finally the 16 activities, social intent, 16 social intent, and the limit of 50 lakhs and 10 lakhs. These all need to be combined together and seen. We need to see over the eligibility.
Okay. Can any political party member be a member of social stock exchange entity?
No, the political is not allowed.
When a trust is
Political is not being recognized as a social enterprises.
yes. When a trust is registered under Trust Act, even the trust is to register again on this platform.
So this registration is
For the
of the
stock exchange.
recognition, yeah, is a recognition to see and check the eligibility, as we have like seen 6 to 7 steps of eligibility. So are these 6 to 7 steps of eligibility are being eligible for getting themselves listed at the social stock exchange? This registration is for that. So for example, if there is a trust which is registered in a trust act, but it is not doing any of the 16 activities, intents, 16 eligibility intents, then it would not be able to register themselves at the social stock exchange. Or maybe like their turnover in terms of expenditure or revenue is less than 50 or 10 lakhs. In that case, they cannot be.
Okay.
So the eligibility of whatever have been given in the ICDR, LODR, and the framework need to be checked again for getting themselves registered at the stock exchange. So these two registration are absolutely different registration.
Okay. There is one question from Divya Thakur. As per understanding, it means graduates, postgraduates who clear exam of NISM will also be social auditor. Even they can do social audit. Can you reconfirm?
Yes, they need to they can be a social auditor. They need to have a minimum experience criteria that to be followed.
Will the presentation be shared for participants? Yes, we'll make sure the WRC team would send you the PPT on your email IDs. There is one question from Uma Garg. What does annual spending include?
Annual spending is spending which need to be done for any of the 16 activities which are being uh, notified. So the annual spending need to be uh, checked in these 16 activities for directly or indirectly.
If spending requires 50 lakhs, then if spending requires 50 lakhs, then funding should also be more than 10 lakhs. Please explain these two different criteria, spending and funding.
So the expenditure need to be more than 50 lakhs. That is, it may be a possibility. There is a huge difference between the spending and the funding. And what have been captured from our general knowledge is there might be reserved for from past years where the NGO is having reserve. So they can do a bigger expenditure because of the reserves they are having. So the expenditure need to be at least 50 lakhs. And the donations, you may say, or whatever receipts are being done should be more than 10 lakhs. It looks normally the NGO does not keep such a big reserve, but if there is a reserve in the NGO, then that reserve could may be utilized or might have been utilized. So a breather to those NGOs have been given who might have been having a reserve in that particular area, a particular year. Their receipts might have been less, but their spending might had uh, breached 50 lakhs. Normally, practically, the receipts and the expenditure are having a difference of 10-15% in a normal NGO. But there may be a difference in some of them, so that this limit have been thought and put in place by SEBI.
Okay. Currently, what is the status of the social stock exchange? How far they have been in work in progress?
In our slide, third or fourth, we have detailedly discussed uh, all the formulation, ICDR, LODR, everything have been there in place. There are some registrations which have been done, and it's very progressive day by day. So many of the NGOs now look forward for coming up with the issuance of ZCZP. So anytime soon, those could be there and hitting the uh, markets or to the donors at large.
Any ZC, ZP issue till today?
No, not as of now. No.
Whether subscription to securities through social stock exchange by companies can qualify as CSR expenditure under Section 135 Companies Act.
As of now, no. Neither ATG nor subscription of ZCZP of the CSR fund are eligible. We look forward for some clarification by our honorable finance minister or like the SEBI. But as of now, yes, there is nothing.
One question, why will a subscriber subscribe ZC, ZP if there is no return and there is no ATG donation?
Why we go and donate uh, at Bhet Patra or Dan Patra at any temple or at any religious place. This is what is the underlining. That is punya. As previously also told, there is a very big social capital which is untapped, and the basic reason and is that many people want to donate, but they have lost confidence. The reason for losing confidence is not required any clarification, but yes, there is a lack of transparency and they have lost their confidence. And what the government is trying to do is bring back this confidence to the public at large. As we have seen, the uh, what are the disclaimers need to be put in place, what are the detailing reporting need to be there to be put into the stock exchanges. These all things would going to bring back the confidence of the uh, hands which are having social capital. Uh, in addition, because of these listings, there would be a visibility also which would be coming. For example, if an NGO which is working in Odisha, maybe for the tribal people, we sitting at Tamil Nadu are not having any visibility, or we are not having knowledge what exactly has been happening in Odisha. But once this NGO comes on the platform of a social stock exchange, maybe through registration, a person sitting at Tamil Nadu may go through the NGO. Maybe the person who is there at Tamil Nadu belongs to a tribal area, and he's now a very wealthy person. So he might think of giving donations to those NGOs which is there working in Odisha. So this is a very small example created by me. There might be many multi-folds example which can happen practically.
Okay. Next question is from Jalpesh Vagela. Is there any penal? I think it's penalty panel. Okay. Is there any panel for social auditor in future? How social auditor of small city be able to get such assignments?
So basically now, like if we go around uh, any part of our country, G20 um, summits are going in every state and in every small and big town. And because of this, all artificial intelligence and all information technology, now a village is also a big city, and a big city is also a village. It's just there's no difference between any of these big cities or small cities. Every place is now like similar. In the same manner, uh, all the three institutes, the SRO are working very effectively. As told you, if I combine together, there are more than 500 auditors there. My figures could be somewhere plus minus 50, but combined together, all these three institutes, the strength of the members are there. There are lakhs of NGOs which are there. So definitely, when we are talking about Make in India, when we are talking about working for world, then definitely things would going to flow.
Next question is there any prior experience required to be a social auditor after clearing NISM exam?
As of now, like the 3-year criteria for the social uh, audit firm has been given. Uh,
Okay, next question is profit social enterprise means it can be a company or a partnership. Kindly clarify.
it could be a body corporate basically, but if we see that these profit enterprise need to go and get themselves listed at any of the board, that is the main board, innovators, or the SME platform, they need to do a issuance of their shares. So for issuance of the shares, they need to be in a company format.
Okay. Next question is from Hemant Dave. Our listing of ZCZP on social stock exchange would be on matchmaking basis or alternative investment instrument listed on existing stock exchange?
So there is no like matchmaking concept. Basically, the issuance of ZCZP would be in a form of a public issue, wherein there would be an issue as discussed which would be opening, and the subscription of ZC, ZP would be required. Once the subscription is being done, the uh, transfer of instrument would be done, and it would be listed on the SME, on the social stock exchange platform. As on date, there is no trading activity which is being carried, which is being proposed to be carried, to be very specific. So maybe at a later stage, the trading activity may start, but as on date, it's just registration and offer document and listing.
Okay. I think this would be the last question. Is there any prior experience required after clearing NI, and how these audits will be allocated to social auditor?
So prior experience, as I told, like there's a 3 years criteria which have been put in place. Uh, so we look forward for a better and a better clarity for this 3 years. Uh, but as of now, yes, 3 years is what is required. After clearing the NISM exam, uh, uh, the respective member can apply to the SRO, and SRO would going to give membership, and then the social audit could be carried by them.
Okay. The next question is also similar. What would be how to qualify the exam?
You have to get yourself first and formally registered with the NISM. Then you need to take a date according to your comfort. NISM more or less is operative in all the big cities and tier 2 cities also. And every week they have slots. Maybe 3 or 4 days they are having their slots, and in a day they are having 3, 4 exams. So very comfortably, it's an online exam which could be given, and the results come then and there. There's a point that is, there is a 25% negative marking. Once you clear the exams, you can apply to the SR.
Okay. Earlier we had a certification course on social stock exchanges by ICAI. Would that be considered an eligibility criteria to be a
No,
social?
no. That is just a study which that was a initiative taken by our honorable Central Council members, that our members get a knowledge about the subject. That's it. That was just a study. Now, on the basis of that study, as told by me, the NISM exams need to be given, and those results would going to further justify our eligibility for applying to the SRO for membership.
Okay. There is a question from Sanjay Yadav. Can we become member of multiple SRO at the same time, or is there any limitation?
I, to the best of my knowledge, nothing has been written as of now. But to the best of my knowledge, I think it could be done. But uh, personally, I don't find any reason to take multiple membership.
Okay.
So it's absolutely a personal call, which the respected member need to take on.
Okay. There is a question from Deepthi Jain that does that mean that there won't be any allocation by institute or SEBI? We have to find our own clients for social audit assignments.
As of now, yes, there is no guidelines on this. It would be more or less in a similar manner as the audits currently have been conducted. Maybe of the companies, maybe of the partnership. That is the criteria. There is no specification as on date or any guidelines which have been given by neither our institute or by SEBI or by the stock exchanges.
The last question is, can we reattempt for social auditor exam if unsuccessful? Hopefully.
Yes, you can even reattempt hour after hour. So
Okay.
as I told, there are 3 slots in a day. You can give 3 exams in continuation.
Okay. That were the questions for today's session, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I thank all the team of WIRC, our chairman sir, our secretary sir, treasurer sir, and all the staff members of WIRC who have given their efforts for this session, and not the less, all the members who have spared their hours for this session. So from my end, thank you very much to every one of you.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of WIRC, I would like to express our heartfelt gratitude for today's speaker, CA Amit Kedia ji. We have honored and privileged to have this opportunity to listen to you, sir. And it was a really an insightful presentation, and we are really enlightened with your expertise in the field. And this webinar is reminding us that there are a lot of opportunities and possibilities that are lying ahead for us as chartered accountants. And your presence has made this event more meaningful to us, and we hope to have welcome you back in future also.
Always welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.